It is the last month of the year, the last month of new releases in 2023. And let's just say we're not fizzling out, we're definitely going out with a bang. So here are 10 releases coming out in the month of December. Coming out on December 1st, we have Climbing the Ranks by Teo Wong. Now this is a brand new lit RPG series. Teo Wong is known for his series 1000 Li, but Climbing the Ranks is a brand new lit RPG series from him. Let's have a look at the premise. When the towers arrived, without warning, without communication of intent or indication of reasoning, chaos ensued. Decades later, enchantments from the tower and mana cores from the creatures within power the most advanced technologies in the real world. What was once a puzzling mystery has become a necessary part of economic growth. For Arthur Chua, the Malaysian beginner tower has always been his objective. Climbing the tower is the only form of escape available for one without money or connections. He's not looking to be a hero or famous, just a survivor. Fate, on the other hand, has other plans for him. At long last, the reason for the arrival of the towers will be revealed, and humanity will once again experience a seismic shift when the truth appears. Of course, Arthur's going to have to survive long enough for that to happen. This year was the first year I got into progression or lit RPG novels, and I had a really good time with Dungeon Crawler Carl, so I'm definitely looking for more series to try out. So the fact that this is a brand new one coming out on the 1st of December, I'll certainly be keeping my eye on it. Also coming out on the 1st of December, we've got a bizarre book that I absolutely love the sound of because it is just so out there. Help! My Dog is the Chosen One. Kunal is just your average guy living on rent in Mumbai, working from home and suffering from anxiety. His world is turned upside down when his girlfriend asks him to foster a rescued street dog. Despite his qualms, Kunal agrees because what's the worst that could happen? That's when the extra-dimensional Dark Lord attacks. The dog is the only one who can stop the Dark Lord, but he can't do it without Kunal's help. Can Kunal overcome his many anxieties, or will our world suffer for eternity? This sounds completely ridiculous and I love it. That's such a cool, bizarre premise. I've read books before where the sort of side character is the chosen one, and then the main character is sort of the side character in the chosen one's story, but I've not seen it done where the chosen one is a dog. That's definitely a new one. If you're looking for something completely just out there, self-published books have got you covered. Talking about lit RPG series, we have Will White's second book in his new lit RPG series, The Engineer, coming out on December 4th. This is the sequel to The Captain. This is a sci-fantasy space opera series with wizards in space. I've heard great things about the first book that dropped earlier on this year, I think in April. Because this is a sequel, we will go over the synopsis for book 1, and then once you've read that, you'll know if you want to move on to book 2 or not. To survive in this galaxy, you need a wand in one hand and a gun in the other. On a little-known planet, Archmage Varric Valinar casts a grand spell to empower himself with the magical abilities of his alternate selves. The ritual works too well, granting Varric not only the magic, but also the memories from 6 lives, including their gruesome deaths. Now, Varric has power greater than any wizard in galactic history, but he knows that won't be enough. The enemies he's faced in those alternate lives were apocalyptic in scale, terrors of technology and magic, nothing that he or anyone can defeat. Sun-eating extra-dimensional insects, shadowy secret organizations, genetically enhanced alien super soldiers, ruthless mega corporations, and hordes of cyborg undead all lurk in the darkest corners of the galaxy. And Varric knows that any of them can be world-ending threat at any moment, until he hears a rumor of a mythical starship, an invincible vessel of heroes made to do battle against galactic threats, a ship called The Last Horizon. I absolutely love the premise to this series. Sun-eating extra-dimensional insects. What? Galactic threats and this invincible ship of heroes facing against each other, but also this idea of having these 6 lives of alternate dimensions of this one character all in his head and how they died. There's so much to this story that just sounds like a lot of fun. And there is no better time to jump into the series with the sequel coming out on December 4th. Also coming out on December 4th, we have Sin and Sorrow by Michael R. Fletcher. This is the third book in the City of Sacrifice series. As we always do, we will go over the synopsis for book 1, and then you'll know if you want to continue on to book 2, and then this, book 3. After a cataclysmic war of the gods, the last of humanity huddles in Bastion, a colossal ringed city. Beyond the outermost walls lies endless desert, haunted by the souls of all of the world's dead. Trapped in a rigid caste system, Nuru, a young street sorcerer, lives in the outer ring. She dreams of escape and freedom. When something contacts her from beyond the wall, she risks everything and leaps at the opportunity. Mother Death, a banished god seeking to reclaim her place in Bastion's patchwork pantheon, has found her way back into the city. Akachi, born to the wealth and splendor of Bastion's inner rings, is a priest of the Cloud Serpent, Lord of the Hunt. A temple-trained sorcerer, he is tasked with bringing peace to the troublesome outer ring. Drawn into a dark and violent world of assassins, gangs, and street sorcerers, he battles the spreading influence of Mother Death in a desperate attempt to save Bastion. The gods are once again at war. Michael R. Fletcher is really known for his very grim, dark fantasy books. The idea of this desolate dystopian city living in this desert, endless desert haunted by the souls of the dead just sounds right up his street and it sounds so good. And these covers. Coming out on December 5th, we have the Dragons of Deepwood Fen, a new adult fantasy series with dragons. You know I'm sold already. I'm sold. I'll take 3, please. This first book in a new fantasy series from the author of the acclaimed Song of the Shattered Sands series follows an unlikely pair as they expose the secrets at the heart of the mountain city of Ancris. Lorelei Aurelius is the smartest inquisitor in the mountain city of Ancris when a mysterious tip leads her to a clandestine meeting between the church and the hated Red Knives. She uncovers a plot that threatens not only her home, but the Empire itself. Explore the mountain city of Ancris, where fast-paced adventure and intrigue abound. In this new offering from the author of the acclaimed Song of the Shattered Sands series. Mountain city, fast-paced adventure, dragon riding, stunning dragon covers, and also Broken Binding are doing a special edition of this book. You can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong. Also coming out on December 5th, we have The Bitter Crown by Justin Lee Anderson. This is the sequel to The Lost War. This series was the winner of the SPFBO, the self-published fantasy blog-off, and after winning in, I believe, 2020, it was picked up by Orbit, and now we are on to Book 2, The Bitter Crown. But let's go over the synopsis for Book 1. The war is over, but something is rotten in the state of Edine. With a ragged peace in place, demons burn farmlands, violent ravers roam the wilds, and plague has spread beyond the Black Meadows. The country is on its knees. In a society that fears and shuns him, Aranok is the first magically skilled Droid to be named King's Envoy. Now, charged with restoring an exiled foreign queen from her throne, he leads a group of strangers across a ravaged country. But at every step, a new mystery complicates their mission. As bodies drop around them, new threats emerge, and lies are revealed. Can Aranok bring his companions together and uncover the conspiracy that threatens the kingdom? I've had book 1 on my TBR for a while. I really want to get to it, and especially now that the sequel is out on December 5th. I also believe that the author did base some parts of this off of Edinburgh, which is near where I live, so that's just bonus points for me to check out. Coming out December 7th, we have House of Open Wounds by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the sequel to City of Last Chances. It sounds like a very unique and interesting series, so let's look at synopsis for book 1. Arthur C. Clarke winner and Sunday Times bestseller Adrian Tchaikovsky triumphant return to fantasy with a darkly inventive portrait of a city under occupation and on the verge of revolution. There has always been a darkness to Ilmar, but never more so than now. The city chafes under the heavy hand of the Palestine occupation, the chokehold of its criminal underworld, the boot of its factory owners, the weight of its wretched poor, and the burden of its ancient curse. What will be the spark that lights the conflagration? Despite the city's refugees, wanderers, murderers, madmen, fanatics and thieves, the catalyst, as always, will be the anchor wood, that dark grove of trees, that primeval remnant that portal, when the moon is full, to strange and distant shores. Ilmar, some say, is the worst place in the world, and the gateway to 1,000 worse places. Even just the synopsis has a very distinct writing style. I think inventive really is a good word for this book. It sounds very interesting and unique. And the sequel is coming out on December 7th. Also coming out on December 7th, we have the sequel to the Combat Codes, Grievar's Blood. Now, the Combat Codes was one of my favorite new releases of this year. It really just is a fun book. I talked about it in a couple videos now. In a world where single combat determines the fate of nations, the Grievar fight in the circles so that the rest can remain at peace. But given the stakes, things are never so simple. The Daimyo govern from the shadows. I got really big Karate Kid vibes with the start of this, however there is so much to the world and the plot that's just kind of teased in this first book, and then at the end there's so much that happens and I need book 2 now. So I'm so glad that Grievar's Blood is coming out soon, because I will definitely be picking it up soon, because this book was great. Coming out on December 7th, we have the Crucible of Chaos, which has one of the coolest names for a fantasy book I've heard in a while. This comes from Sebastian de Castell, who is known for Traitor's Blade and also Spellslinger. But the Crucible of Chaos is a standalone novel, but it can also be read as a prelude to his Court of Shadows series, the first book being Play of Shadows. And we certainly do not get enough standalones in fantasy. A mortally wounded magistrate faces his deadliest trial inside an ancient abbey where the monks are going mad and the gods themselves may be to blame. Estevar Barros, one of the legendary sword-fighting magistrates known as the Greatcoats, and the king's personal investigator of the supernatural, is no stranger to tales of ghosts and demons. When the fractious monks of the abbey, rumoured to be the birthplace of the gods, begin warring over claims of a new pantheon arising, the frantic abbot summons him to settle the dispute. Monks going mad because of a god? This sounds really cool. And last, but certainly not least, on December 19th, we have the Doom of Odin. Now this cover is so cool. This is the third book in the Grimnir saga, the first being A Gathering of Ravens, which also has an awesome cover. This is a Norse-inspired historical fiction fantasy novel of vengeance, faith, and the power of myth. And that'll do it for today. Thank you very much for watching. This is not all the books coming out in the month of December, but here are 10 that tickled my fancy. I don't like that. Edit that out, Andrew. But let me know in the comments below, what are you planning on picking up in the month of December? I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons. Your support really means the world to me. And just a reminder, because I think I've mentioned it quite a lot now, but we are doing a buddy read of The Sword of Kaigen on my Discord, which you can join in the link in the description. Thank you very much for watching. Outro. Messed up.